I think many of us have some strange characteristics that we can't explain to ourselves or to others. Someone eats boogers, someone sits for hours in the toilet, someone likes to sniff gasoline, tear paper, and much more. For example, I like to eat soap. Yes, simple, ordinary, real soap for your hands, face, no matter. I have my own favorite tastes, colors, and firmness, and it started from childhood. By the way, my name is Mia. I have a little sister and a mother. My father was gone, and my mother raised us alone. She was often at work, I was at school, and my sister was in kindergarten. When I came home from school, I usually had lunch, then sat down for lessons. In the evening, my mother and sister came. The three of us had dinner, bathed, and went to bed. Since I grew up, I bathe alone. I always used soap and a washcloth. I was very attracted to the smell of scented soap. I remember my mother always bought it in bundles and said it was cheaper. We had soap at home with a smell of honey and milk, strawberries, herbs. They were all different shapes, colors, and frothed in different ways. And so, on one of these bathes, as I lay in the bathroom and washed my hands, I suddenly began to wonder what soap is made of. How do they make it, and why does it have such a beautiful foam? After a few minutes of reflection, the thought crept into my head. What does it taste like? I've often heard my sister say that she cries every time the soap gets in her eyes. Yes, it is really unpleasant. It stings the eye so that you think it is about to fall out, and when it gets into the mouth, it becomes disgustingly bitter and disgusting. But I do remember that I got foam in my mouth and I properly soaped my hands and licked. The taste was really a little bit bitter and sour, but interesting, not like anything else. I licked the foam again, and the more I tasted it, the more I liked it. Then I decided to take a bite. This small piece stuck slightly to my teeth. I even had to pull it off with my tongue. It reminded me of toffee candies, but I realized that I liked it. So I ate a little of it and left the bathroom. I knew I shouldn't tell anyone, especially my mother. She'll yell, I thought. The next day, I repeated my dessert. With each bite, I liked it more and more. I couldn't eat much, but one bite was just the thing. It was like an addiction, a soap addiction. Since then, I've tried a lot of different types. Most of all, I like the smell and taste of honey, coconut milk, and chocolate. I also like these products very much. Once I decided to experiment and tried shampoo and shower gel, but it was not delicious. Then I heard my mother talking to herself in the bathroom. What's wrong with the soap? Why does it end so quickly and why are there teeth marks on it? Mia, don't you want to tell me anything? My mother asked sternly. I was confused, but there was nowhere to go, so I confessed everything. Just like that, Mom was yelling. She told me to stop this strange habit. What? There's nothing to eat at home but soap? Who eats it at all? She shouted. I didn't understand why it made her so mad. I didn't eat much, just one bite. But then I came up with a plan. I just bought a separate one for myself and hid it in my room. After a shower, I went to bed, and before going to bed, I took a bite and went to bed, savoring a piece. I will say it right away, I did not have a stomachache from it, and I did not go to the toilet with bubbles. Everything was as usual, just like everyone else. Then I grew up and went to university. Since it was located in another city, I had to rent an apartment with my friends, classmates. The three of us lived in a one-room apartment. The area is small, but it helped save money. The girls did not know about my habit, and I also carefully hid this fact from them so that there would be no unnecessary questions and ridicule. Like at home, I went to the shower, took my soap with me, bathed with another, and then bit my own and went back to the room. But one day, we were doing general cleaning and a friend was cleaning the closet. When she reached my shelf, my honey fell out. She picked it up from the floor. At this moment, I screamed, and before I could run up, she asked me why there were teeth marks on the soap. At that moment, I blushed terribly and didn't know what to lie about. Another picked up the subject and began to laugh wildly. What are you doing, eating soap? I was so confused that I could not lie. They began to laugh out loud, clutching their bellies. Well, then came a lot of questions. After I told them everything, they didn't believe me for a long time. To be honest, I was joking, but do you really eat it? The girlfriend asked. It was too late to deny it, so I took my soap and took a bite in front of them. "What do you feel?" they asked. I replied that at such moments, I feel the same as when eating. Everyone has their favorite dishes. When you eat them, you feel pleasure, happiness, bliss. In a word, high. So am I. I'm just getting high. "What if I spread it on bread?" one asked. And then she made me a nice little sandwich. She cut the soap into thin layers and put it on a piece of rye bread like butter. I took a bite and ate it. I liked it, but without the bread, the taste is brighter and more pleasant. While I was chewing, they both stared with their mouths open and were gawking at me. I was very funny, and I suggested that they try it. They took a millimeter at a time and ran to the bathroom. They spat so that the whole entrance seemed to hear them. "Ugh, it's bitter! It's disgusting! How do you eat it?" they both shouted. But no one can understand my preferences, so I kept it a secret. Since that day, on my birthday, every year the girls have given me whole packages of my treats. I didn't even know there were such tastes. Then I began to eat handmade soap. It was a little greasier than usual, but even more delicious. You will probably think that this is nonsense and that this does not happen. But believe me, there are still so many inexplicable habits in the world. Perhaps not everyone is talking about it, but I decided to tell you about this so that you don't think they're alone. But it turns out that my habit has a name, allotriophagy. This is when a person eats inedible things. I found out about it when I got to the hospital. It happened a couple of years later, when I had long been eating not 1 piece per night, but much more. I didn't have to hide it from the girls now, so I ate whenever I wanted and as much as I wanted. So one day, I felt a sharp attack of pain in my stomach. I thought it made my legs go numb. I was brushing my teeth before going to bed and suddenly doubled over. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't call for help. I was just gulping air like a fish on land. And then I deliberately pushed the shampoo shelf to the floor. The girls came running. They barely broke down the door and saw me almost blue on the floor. The ambulance came for me. At the hospital, when I came to my senses the next day, I was told the name of my addiction and I was warned about its consequences. It almost cost me my life. Since that day, I've been trying to hold back. It was insanely difficult at first, and then the girls came up with something. Now we only have liquid soap in the house. Hello, everyone. My name is Maloney. I have a strong complex about my figure, about the fact that I have very small breasts. The expression, flat as a board, is about me. I'm tired of looking like this, so I found a secret to increase it. But I overdid it a little. There are plump girls, average, and then there are such as I, dystrophics. I am not talking about those figures that are taken in as models. They at least have the right height, unlike me. I'll start with the fact that I was born underweight. My mother carried me under her heart for a full 9 months, and I was born a little more than 1.5 kilograms. The doctors were surprised at this, because this was usually how twins or premature babies were born. But there I was. All my childhood, I was ill with everything I could get. Allergies, colds, constipation, anything, and almost every month. My family used to call me weak. My mother assured me that all my illnesses were due to my thinness, and she and my father made me eat. With tears in my eyes, I ate the damn potatoes, flour, and disgusting soups. Mom said it was healthy, and Dad said it was high in calories. Personally, at an early age, everything suited me and my body. I didn't even notice that I was too thin. I thought it was hard to be fat, but not skinny. However, when I grew up, my opinions changed. As I remember now, I came to school one September and saw my classmates. I was stunned by the fact that their breasts had grown over the summer, and 1 to 2 sizes. And why hadn't mine? When my classmates hugged me, it felt like pillows were touching me, and I was afraid to pierce them with myself. That day, I came home upset and in tears. My grandmother didn't understand what was wrong. I told her that the teacher thought I was a kid. All the girls are already wearing bras, and I still wear a t-shirt. I asked her, whimpering at the table. My grandmother just hugged me and said that everything would be fine. "They'll grow, don't worry, honey," she said. I enjoyed her support, but I couldn't wait long. That same evening, I went online and started looking at the cost of breast augmentation surgery. Even if I collected my grandmother's pension in 5 years, I still wouldn't have enough. And telling my parents is like running into another scandal. But once, purely by chance, I came across an ad on the internet for breast augmentation with a huge discount. Wow, I thought, this is definitely my chance, and I began to rustle through all my pockets, but not even the entire amount was enough. Then I came up with a brilliant idea. I had a rare collection of coins from my great-grandfather. I was given it for my birthday. I've heard they cost a lot of money. So I took them and sold them. Just this amount will also be enough for me to buy new things with an open neckline, I said to myself. I immediately called this clinic and made an appointment on the appointed day. The night before, I was lying on my bed, looking forward to appearing in class in a beautiful blouse or dress, and everyone would just be stunned by my new bust. I would be the center of attention. I would be eye-catching, proud, happy, and satisfied. I woke up the next morning at 5 a.m. I couldn't wait to go to the clinic. After a quick meal, I packed up and left. "Did you sign up for the operation?" the clinic asked. I said, "Yes," with satisfaction. "But you are not 18 years old. We cannot accept you. Sorry. The presence of an adult is mandatory," they told me. At that moment, it was as if the earth had fallen from under my feet. How could that be? I was so prepared. I did everything right. Why not? I begged them to accept me, promised not to tell what the clinic had done, but they said that they would face criminal liability, and that would be worse than my tears. They politely dismissed me and said that they would be waiting for me, but only with an adult by my side. I came home dead, all my dreams buried alive. My mother asked what was wrong at home, but I didn't want to tell her. In the evening, Grandma came into my room, and she was looking for the collection of medals. Oh no, I thought. I had to tell her everything, and I was terribly ashamed. Grandmother sat down on the sofa in horror and clutched at her heart. I got scared and ran to her. "Oh no, Grandma, please forgive me. I'll fix it. I swear, I'll fix it," I begged and began to kiss her hands. I was crying with shame and fright. Grandma asked me what I needed the money for, and I had to tell her everything. She laughed and told me to eat cabbage. I was surprised. How? Just eat cabbage and that's it? This pleased me more. I didn't need to go under the knife. I didn't need to spend a lot of money. I ran into the kitchen and ate cabbage like a madwoman. My mother was surprised at my appetite. "What's wrong? Usually you can't be forced to eat cabbage from under a stick," she said. I just nodded in her direction and continued to eat the leaves. It seemed to me that the more you eat, the faster they will grow. So I only ate cabbage and washed it down with water. On the third day, I began to feel sick, and so sick after a week that I didn't even want to look at it. And every night, I took a measuring tape and measured my bust in front of the mirror. It seems to me they're not growing. I should double my ration, I told myself. My mother did not have time to buy this vegetable, as in an hour it ran out. As the third week went by, I really felt unwell. I was lying on the bed, almost exhausted, and there were stumps all around me. When my mother came into the room, she screamed as if she saw a corpse, although that's about how I looked and felt too. The whole room smelt like cabbage. I was green, and not only was I sick and couldn't get up, I also spoke in a clumsy way. At my mother's cry, my grandmother came running. She was just as shocked by what was happening and told my mother what was wrong. My mother picked me up and took me to the hospital. I don't remember very well, but on the way, she scolded me for not sharing my feelings with her. "How did you manage to eat only cabbage for so long? What if I hadn't noticed? What would have happened then?" she screamed. At the hospital, they pumped me out, made some IVs, and then said that I should rest. I was discharged in a couple of days. When my mother calmed down, she spoke to me seriously about it. I told her how important it was to me, and my mother made the decision. A month later, we returned the money to the office and took the coins, and then my mother enrolled me in a good clinic with friends, where I still had a breast augmentation. I was so happy. Like I said, everyone at school was just blown away, and my self-confidence doubled. Now I feel much more feminine and beautiful. However, since then, I don't eat cabbage anymore.